everyone, and welcome to Cricut Time. Subscribe to see new videos each week with project ideas and tutorials on all things Cricut. For today's tutorial, I will show you a trick that you can do to get your Cricut to fill in writing, not just the outline of the words. Summer is just around the corner, and I have my design, Summer Vibes, ready for this tutorial. This is just 2 text boxes, and the font I used for summer is BFC Holly Berries, which is the Design Space font. The font I used for Vibes is Romantica from dafont.com. If you aren't sure how to download new fonts into Design Space, there are thousands of free fonts out there, and you can check out this video where I walk you through it for step-by-step instructions. There have been lots of times where I have designed something where I paired a thick font with a skinnier one. It looks great in Design Space, set to cut. But I encounter a problem if I want to have my machine draw this on paper. When I change the operation to draw, this happens. Instead of the bold writing I had there, I'm left with just an outline. But don't worry, there is a way to fix this. First, I have to get all of the writing ready. Vibes is a script font, and you can see that the lines of the letters kind of cross over each other. I can fix that by selecting the word, then down at the bottom, click on Combine and Unite. Now the word is seamless. This writing is ready, so now comes the trick to fill it in. When a design is set to draw, the machine looks for lines to draw in. So, if we want to fill in the writing, we need to give it more lines to draw. A lot more. There are 2 ways to do this, and I'll show you both of them. The first way costs about $1, and the second way is free, but it does take a bit of time to do. Here is the first way. You will need to download a fill line SVG. There are tons of sites out there to download SVGs. I'll check out Etsy today. In the search heading, I'll just put in fill lines, and you can scroll down and pick any one you want. These range from $1 to about $3, and you want to pick one where the spaces aren't too far apart. I will also show you later in this video how to make your own in Design Space if you don't want to buy one. If you do buy one, you just need to upload it into Design Space. I'll click on Upload, Upload Image, and drag it in. With this many lines, I'll click on Complex. I'll set this as a cut image and add to canvas. Now that I have my design and my fill lines, I'll show you how to use them. I'll just move the lines out of the way for a moment. I'll start off by highlighting the whole design, and I need to weld this together. Just click on Combine and Weld. The next thing I need to do is copy and paste it so I have 2 copies of the design. One will be the outline, and one will be used to cut out the fill lines. I'll take this one and put it over the fill lines. Now I can highlight both layers and press Slice down at the bottom. Slice can only be used when you have 2 layers selected, which is why we had to weld the design in the first place. This cut Summer Vibes out of the fill lines, so I'll grab that layer and pull it over. I don't need the rest of these, so I'll just highlight them and delete them. Now I'll take this layer and put it closer to the outline layer. I'll zoom in so you can really see what it looks like. Now I just have to position these layers just right. That looks good. So the last thing I need to do for my machine to draw these layers together is highlight both layers, then click on Attach. I made this pretty big so it was easy to see, so I'll just resize it now to make it a bit smaller to fit on my page. As I shrink it, the lines get closer together, which will be better to fill it in. One problem that can occur is if the lines are not close enough together to fill in the writing properly. If this happens to you, don't worry, it's an easy fix. This is the one I just made. But let's say I want the lines to be closer together to be more filled in. I have my original fill line SVG here, and what I can do is make it a bit shorter, which will squish the lines closer together. I'll repeat the process to show you a side-by-side comparison of the lines further apart and the lines closer together. I'll click on my design layer and copy it. I'll move that on top of the fill lines, highlight both layers, and click on Slice. I'll delete these extra layers again. Now I'll copy the design layer again for the outline, and then line these layers up together. There. Now when I zoom in, you can really see the difference. I would do the more spaced out fill lines on the left if I was using a marker tip, which is 1 mm, and I would use the more filled in lines on the right if you're using a fine tip pen, which are 0.4 mm. The more lines you have, the longer your machine is going to take to draw them. Lastly, I'll show you how to make your own fill lines in Design Space. The process is pretty easy, but it can be time consuming, depending on how big your design is. To make your own, we'll start out by clicking on Shapes. When I first went to try this, I thought I would use a line and bring in lots of them. But then I realized using a square is actually faster and more efficient. Bring in a square and unlock it so you can change its size. Make it long enough to cover your design and make it really skinny. Shapes are automatically set to cut out, so I'll change this operation to pen. Instead of using a line shape, which only gives you one line, you can make this a rectangle and it will give you 2 lines, which will cut your time in half. Now you just have to copy and paste that rectangle as many times as you need, trying to keep the spacing even. Once you have a few rectangles, you can highlight them all and copy and paste more at a time. Just repeat this process until the design is filled in. I'll just do summer to show you. When you have enough rectangles, you need to highlight them all, click on Combine, and press Weld. Now I can do the process the exact same way. Highlight the design and the fill lines, and click on Slice. When I take this outline layer away, you can see it works exactly the same. Now that I have shown you how to set it up in Design Space, I'll send this to my machine and see how it worked out. All I need for this is my green mat, some regular printer paper, and some Cricut pens. Today I'm using Cricut's Ultimate Fine Point pen set, but the markers work well for this too. I'll stick my paper down to a green mat, and get my machine ready. I'll just take my pen and load it into clamp A. If you haven't used pens in your machine yet, just make sure to push down until you hear the click. Now I can load in my mat and sit back while my machine does the work. I have it set to do 2 copies of my design, one with just the outline like it normally would, and one filled in so we can see the difference. Well, there you go. This is done, and my machine filled in the writing for me. There is a little spot on the V where the pen must have splashed slightly, but other than that, I'm happy with the result. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more project ideas and tutorials on all things Cricut.